Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome to all the devotees for this exclusive question answer session. Next 1 hour, I'll be answering the questions you post on live chat. I already have some pending questions from the last week. I'll take them first, and after that, I'll answer questions as you keep posting them on the live chat. The first question here for this evening: the more I desire not to focus on certain things, the more my mind is focusing on them. How to control it? The best remedy for mind control is given in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains the system of Ashtanga Yoga to control the mind. And Arjuna, after hearing the description of the Ashtanga Yoga system, Arjuna says that the mind is very difficult to control and the system of Ashtanga Yoga is impractical. So Arjuna asks, is there any other method of controlling the mind? So Krishna says, yes, it is possible to control the mind by constant practice and detachment. So what is this practice and what is detachment for controlling the mind? Prabhupada explains in the purport that the practice is required of chanting and hearing the holy name of Krishna, especially the Hare Krishna mantra. So you have to practice chanting and hearing Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The second thing is detachment. You have to detach yourself or your mind from everything material. That automatically happens as you practice chanting and hearing the Hare Krishna mantra. So this is the remedy for controlling the mind, chanting and hearing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The second question, why did Krishna speak the Bhagavad Gita? That also is explained in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver mankind from the nescience of material existence. See, we are all in material existence. And this material existence means we are in darkness. We are in darkness or ignorance about who we are. We are in darkness or ignorance about who is Krishna and what is our relationship with Krishna. All these three can be, the knowledge about these three things, who am I, who is Krishna, and what is my relationship with Krishna, is given in the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to get us out of this ignorance, to get us out of material existence, and we hear or read the Bhagavad Gita, follow the instructions therein, and we become enlightened in Krishna consciousness. The third question, I heard chanting properly for 6 months straight makes us eligible to talk to Krishna face to face. Is this true? And if it is true, senior devotees chant and follow all the rules. Do they talk with Krishna? Regarding chanting properly the Hare Krishna mantra, it is explained that the quality of chanting has to be made perfect for us to get the highest perfection of being eligible to talk to Krishna face to face. That's the highest perfection of chanting and hearing the Hare Krishna mantra properly. Now, to understand what is this chanting properly for 6 months. It's not even 6 months. If you learn to chant properly, even chanting once is enough to make us perfect in Krishna consciousness, by which we'll be able to see Krishna face to face and talk to him. So what is chanting properly? It means chanting and hearing the very sound of the Hare Krishna mantra, because Krishna appears on our tongue when we vibrate the tongue and produce the sound Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna appears as that sound vibration. Of course, the sound vibration of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is transcendental vibration. But the material sound that we produce by vibrating the tongue, that sound becomes empowered by Krishna entering into that sound. And that very sound, if we hear with full attention, complete concentration, complete focus, and we hear without any material motive, without any speculation, we hear it purely, then our chanting is proper, it's perfect, it will give us the highest perfection of spiritual life, being able to see Krishna face to face and talk to him. So this improving the quality of chanting takes time. It takes time. So we have to practice. The more we practice, the more we make advancement in Krishna consciousness. We have to become very serious about this practice of chanting Hare Krishna properly. And Krishna will reveal to us more and more how to improve as we go on chanting and hearing and striving to chant purely. Chanting itself will purify our heart of all material desires, of all speculation. It takes some time. So be patient, follow this, and you will definitely reach perfection in a finite amount of time, in a tangible way. You will make progress and you can feel it yourself. Bhakti, the practice of bhakti is such that it is described in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Pratyakshavagamam dharmyam. It means the practitioner of bhakti can himself or herself understand that you are making progress. And it is very encouraging to you when you come to know that you are making progress. And you will know as you make progress that very soon you're going to reach the perfection. The next question: how do medically dead people sometimes return to life? Now, medically dead means the doctors and the medical professionals, they have a certain way of understanding a person is dead. Now, according to the scriptures, death means the spirit soul leaves the body and is guided to enter another body if the soul is not liberated. So, medically, they say that when the heart fails and they're unable to revive the heart if they try to revive it, or there are certain other symptoms by which they know they cannot revive the heart because the person is actually dead. Like this, so many different ways the medical people describe. Now, return to life means if there is a heart failure and they're able to revive the heart, then the medical people say the person had died, but we revived, or he returned to life. Otherwise, once a person has quit the body, then cannot come back to that body, cannot return to life in that body. It's not possible. Next question. How can we guide our children in their teenage years? Now, the teenage years is the point in the life of the child where they become more mature and they desire independence. They think they can independently do whatever they want to do. So generally, they don't want, especially their parents, to tell them too many things, to guide them in everything. But the teenage years, it's also the stage in life where they require guidance in certain aspects of dealing with the external world, especially because there is the development of the body in such a way that sex life becomes very prominent. This is when we say they have attained puberty. That is when they are very excited about trying to enjoy sex. So if they are not properly guided, then they become a victim of bad habits. Especially 4 sinful activities are very prominent in this Kali Yuga: illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. So of these 4, illicit sex is the most dangerous. So they do not know what is illicit sex. They do not know the dangers of freely mixing with members of the opposite sex and enjoying sex life at very young age, because till they reach puberty, the sex urge is not there, or it is not developed, so to speak. So there is no danger really till they reach puberty in that sense. But once they reach puberty, then they require guidance. And one has to carefully guide them. The best guidance parents can give to their children is spiritual guidance. However, one may try to educate children in the dangers of this free sex life. The children will not actually be in a position to understand or appreciate the dangers that the parents may give or warn. And parents also sometimes find it very, very awkward to speak to children about sex life. So best is spiritual guidance. So when they become mature, they are in a better stage to appreciate the importance of understanding their own self, who they are. They're not the body. They are the spirit soul. And the body is just an instrument for realizing the real self, understanding who you are. And that's the most important thing in life for everyone. And now that they have reached puberty, they are in a position to better understand and appreciate the basic teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, of these scriptures of spiritual education itself. So you guide them spiritually after telling them this is the best time to understand this importance of self-realization, importance of understanding who you are and understanding the purpose of life. So that is the safest thing a parent can do for their child or children. Why did Krishna not stop Yudhishthira from gambling? Now, we have to understand Yudhishthira is a pure devotee of Krishna. So Yudhishthira is really participating in Krishna Leela. And Yudhishthira was not stopped by Krishna because Krishna wanted to show the rest of the world by indulging in gambling. What is the result? Even for a person like Yudhishthira, who was otherwise very, very nicely following all the religious principles without any violation. He did not violate any religious principles. Even in the gambling match, Yudhishthira was honest and fair, but he was cheated. He knew he was cheated, but being bound by certain rules of religiosity, he had to actually suffer the consequences of being cheated. So Krishna wanted to show to the rest of the world what happens if one engages in gambling. Even though for a Kshatriya, gambling is not prohibited. But a Kshatriya can refuse to participate in that gambling if there is cheating. Somehow Yudhishthira did not restrain himself when he was getting cheated, and therefore the consequences of not restraining himself, what all happened. Next question, is multitasking desirable or undesirable? Now, when you say multitasking, let me try to explain this with a specific context. In general, multitasking is not desirable. It is not good. Do one thing at a time, because that's how our mind works. Our mind can handle one task at a time. It cannot handle multiple tasks simultaneously. Even if somebody thinks that they're doing multitasking, what they're doing is little bit, they're doing one thing, and immediately after doing little, they are going to the next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. And they think in that way they're doing multitasking. But that is not very intelligent way of working, because not all the things we do, we can do properly if we give very little time slice for doing one thing at a time. Supposing, to give an example, if somebody is got a task of cleaning the work table that they are using every day, when they come in the morning to the table to begin work, they have to clean, arrange, etc. Now that, if you're practiced to do regularly every day, during cleaning, because it happens very, very easily and you know exactly what is to be done, it doesn't require your full attention and concentration to do it. During cleaning, you may also try to hear something which you would like to do simultaneously while cleaning. That's because the nature of the work, cleaning, regularly every day your table is a very, very, very easy task. It can be done mechanically. So a mechanical activity which doesn't require full concentration, full attention, and you have done it sufficient number of times to be able to do it very, very easily without much of attention and without any difficulty, that time you can utilize for hearing something by giving your attention mainly to hearing than so much of the attention to doing the work of cleaning. So in such a case, it may be okay to simultaneously hear something while you're doing some cleaning, like that. It is just an example I'm giving. Otherwise, if something requires a focused attention, because it's not easy to do that, just like reading your textbook, particularly a subject at in the stage of college or higher education, reading or studying the textbook, you cannot afford to do it while simultaneously being engaged in some other activity. You require full attention, full focus, full concentration to do this task. So all such activities must be done only one thing at a time. So you decide what you would like to do with full focus and full attention, complete concentration, and what can be done while some routine, ordinary, very, very easy, common, repetitive task is being done. That time you can do something else also. How does bhakti help me in overcoming anxiety? The reason for anxiety is the very material existence we are in. Material existence is characterized by anxiety. It is described in the Bhagavatam. Sada samudvigna dhyam asabgrahat. As long as we are absorbed materially, our mind has to be always in anxiety. We have to be always in a disturbed condition of mind. You cannot avoid that. A materially engrossed mind is always in a situation of anxiety, anxiety-filled mind. So to become free from anxiety is to spiritually engage the mind. Is to spiritually engage the mind. So bhakti means spiritual engagement for the mind. Therefore, bhakti is spiritual engagement of the mind, by which the mind becomes free from materially being absorbed, and automatically anxiety will go away. Next question. As Narada is a pure devotee, why is he called a Muni? Muni means one who is a thoughtful person. A pure devotee is very, very thoughtful. Naturally and automatically he is thoughtful. He will never do anything without, thinking about doing that. And a person like Narada Muni, who is a pure devotee, is always thinking of Krishna, always engaged in Krishna's service. His heart is fully with Krishna, for Krishna. So his thoughts are always about serving Krishna. His thoughts are always pure. So in that way, he is the most thoughtful person, and he's always thinking of Krishna, the Supreme Pure. So he's always pure in his thinking. Next question. What is the main cause of Jayananda Prabhu to go back to Godhead? Jayananda Prabhu was always engaged after coming in touch with Prabhupada. He was always engaged in devotional service as Prabhupada instructed him to do devotional service. And towards the end of his life, when he realized he has got cancer, and he was, of course, he knew that very soon he is going to die, quit his body. So he prepared himself while after he was diagnosed with cancer, he did not want to take treatment in the hospital, but he came back to the temple. And in the temple, he requested devotees to help him to always remember Krishna, hear about Krishna, think of Krishna while lying down on the bed because he was terribly ill due to the cancer disease. So he was always engaged in hearing, chanting, remembering, recollecting pastimes of Krishna, and interacting with devotees always. So in this way, he was preparing to quit the body whenever death came. And when death actually came, he was completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, so he straight went back to Godhead. So Prabhupada confirmed, because he was engaged always in Krishna consciousness, so therefore, even towards the end of his life, he was engaged in Krishna consciousness, so he went back to Godhead. So the main cause was his engagement in Krishna consciousness, even when he was diagnosed with cancer. He diverted his mind away from the pain and the complications of the disease towards hearing, chanting about Krishna, about the holy name of Krishna, about the pastimes of Krishna, and engaging with devotees in the temple who would give him association from different devotees who take turns to actually read for him or chant with him or talk to him about Krishna or Krishna consciousness, like that. So that was the important thing. He prepared himself, and by preparation, he actually was successful. Next question. Is there a Ekadashi book which tells which items have to have on Ekadashi and not to have? There is no book as such exclusively on Ekadashi rules and regulations, but devotees have compiled about Ekadashi, and they actually guide those who want instructions about how to follow Ekadashi. Devotees do give guidance. So on Ekadashi, we have to avoid grain items and beans and dal and such items. So which items to have? Non-grain items. What is non-grain item? Simple. Milk, fruits, vegetables, except beans and peas and such legumes, dals, either whole beans or split beans, like that. Except that, just have some simple food. Simple food. That also because you cannot tolerate hunger. You cannot tolerate being completely hungry or completely avoiding food, all types of food. There are different levels of fasting. For those who have practiced fasting completely, they engage in devotional service and they don't even drink water. And those who cannot avoid simply everything, avoid and continue with devotional service, for them, they may drink water. You can manage it just drinking water whenever you feel a little thirsty or tired. Then you can do so. If you cannot manage just with water, then you may take some milk. If you cannot manage just with milk, then you may take some fruits, like that. Different levels of fasting. But in any case, on Ekadashi, take only such items called non-grain items. Now, what are non-grain items? The list I can just briefly mention here. Milk, fruits, and select vegetables like carrot, like cucumber, like cabbage, some of these gourds like bottle gourd and bitter gourd, like that. So these type of simple vegetables, and some nuts you can have, ground nuts or cashew nut, or some of the dry fruits. You can have dry fruits, like that. So these type of things you manage to engage in more devotional service and less of eating, and certainly not engaging in cooking. Avoiding cooking. That is a very important thing on Ekadashi. To save time, to reduce the bodily demands to the minimum. That is the spirit of observing Ekadashi, to save time for increased devotional service. Because it's a very precious day for doing more devotional service. That's why. Next question. As material taste can be perceived through the tanmatras, how is spiritual taste perceived? Tanmatras means, for those who are not aware of this term, it means the sense objects. Just like we taste things which are edible, which are proper for eating, edible items. So edible items have got a certain taste or a mixture of taste. So that we say is material taste, as long as the consciousness of eating is, I eat because I like to eat, or I don't have any spiritual understanding about who I am or what is the goal of life. I'm spiritually ignorant. Then whenever we eat, it is only the material taste. Spiritual taste is not exactly the material taste, but it is the spiritual understanding, spiritual knowledge about what is prasadam. Prasadam is edible food which is spiritualized. Now, to spiritualize edible food, vegetarian food, pure vegetarian food, we have to prepare in a certain way certain items, and we have to offer it to Krishna, and then partake the remnants of food offered to Krishna. That's called prasadam. Now, this prasadam, when we partake, of course, we just eat prasadam, but it is not ordinary eating. It is called honoring prasadam. That means the prayer is offered before we start taking prasadam. We offer a prayer to Krishna, that Krishna is very, very kind, because our tongue is the most uncontrolled sense organ in the entire body. The tongue is voracious eater. It demands varieties. It demands more and more and more and more. It is never satisfied. So to control the tongue, we have to offer this prayer where we thank Krishna that he is helping us to control this uncontrollable tongue by giving us his mercy in the form of prasadam. Prasadam literally means Krishna's mercy. So Krishna is giving us mercy in this wonderful form of prasadam, which is very, very delicious, which is pure, which is filled with Krishna's mercy. So by partaking in that mood, that Krishna is very kind, let me accept this and let me purify my consciousness of trying to enjoy eating independently. Our problem in this material world is we are entangled, we are stuck up here, we are undergoing miseries of material existence simply because we want to independently enjoy our senses. So by devotional service, we give up this independent enjoyment mentality. We only try to give pleasure to our senses through devotional practices. Just like try to relish honoring Krishna Prasadam in the right mood. Try to relish hearing music connected with glorification of Krishna, Krishna bhajans. Try to hear descriptions of Krishna instead of descriptions of ordinary materialistic persons. Like this, we spiritualize our activities, our sense engagements, and that way we purify our consciousness of independent enjoyment. So we seek pleasure only through spiritual engagement of our senses. So eating is for certain taste, relishable taste. So that relishable taste of prasadam is different than simply tasting something and telling it is nice or it's not nice, or it is okay, it is average, it is sweet, or it has got less salt. This is not spiritual taste. Spiritual taste is realizing that Krishna has, by our offering, act of offering the food, Krishna is actually purifying it of material contamination. So such food which is offered to Krishna becomes free from all material contamination. Material contamination is subtle, no? It's not gross. It's not gross, it is subtle contamination. So the subtle contamination is gone when you offer to Krishna. And it also, Krishna does one more thing. He purifies it of material contamination. He also infuses that food which you offer to him with his love. Krishna has got love for us. So Krishna infuses that food with love. His own love. Love for whom? Love for you who are going to partake the prasadam. So you doubly benefit. The food itself, which was materially contaminated, has become free from material contamination by eating prasadam. You don't get any material contamination. You don't get any material contamination. So it's pure food, spiritually enriched or spiritually pure. No material contamination. And secondly, you also get Krishna bhakti, because Krishna is infused with Krishna bhakti, Krishna's love, that food. So you also get that. Of course, you have to accept it in a proper consciousness. Now, whichever consciousness you may take prasadam, it has got certain spiritual benefit regardless of your level of consciousness, a state of consciousness. But if you also try to take it with the right attitude, right consciousness, you get more benefit than the minimum. You get maximum benefit if you take it properly with the right consciousness. So spiritual taste is the appreciation of the spiritual potency of prasadam, the kindness of Krishna, the purity of prasadam in terms of being free from all material contamination, being karma free, no karma, like that. So how do you perceive spiritual taste? spiritual taste is perceived by your consciousness, the right consciousness, the sensitivity, the attitude, the knowledge, the involvement in the act of honoring prasadam, that way. The next question, how to understand spiritual taste versus material taste? That's exactly what I explained in the previous question. Next question, a struggling brahmachari is better than faithful grihastha. How do we understand this? How true is it? Now, this is not really correct to say a struggling brahmachari is better than faithful grihastha. In other words, this statement means always brahmacharya is better than grihastha-ashrama. Brahmachari ashrama is better than grihastha-ashrama. That is never true. That's never true. That's wrong. All the four ashramas are spiritual shelter at different stages in one's life. At different stages of life. These are 4 stages of life. The beginning is brahmacharya. Then next, after that is grihastha-ashrama. After that is vanaprastha-ashrama. After that is sannyasa-ashrama. So there is no statement in the scriptures that brahmachari ashrama is better than grihastha ashrama or some other ashrama is better than some other ashrama. No, there's no such thing. Whichever the ashrama one is situated, one has to follow the rules and regulations of that ashrama and take advantage of the practice of spiritual life suitable for that ashrama to advance spiritually. That's all. So this is not correct. Brahmachari ashram is better than grihastha ashram. No, no. Next question. Why does Indra always spoil tapasya of devotees in Puranas? Now, Indra is holding his position as the king of heaven because of a certain accumulated punya, pious credits that he has performed 100 Ashwamedha yajnas, and he became eligible as having accumulated sufficient pious credits for occupying the post of the king of heaven. Now, if somebody exceeds Indra in accumulating pious credits, especially by doing tapasya, then if they desire to occupy Indra's post, Indra loses his position. So what Indra does is, if he suspects somebody is doing tapasya and they may desire to occupy my post, then I'll have to lose my post. So he tries to dissuade them from doing tapasya or being successful in accumulating pious credits by doing tapasya. That's his motive in spoiling tapasya. Next question. What's the importance of parampara? If ISKCON follows the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya line, why isn't Madhvacharya or Sampradaya Acharya? Why these differences? Importance of parampara is we receive spiritual knowledge in the parampara system. There is no other way. There is no other way of receiving spiritual knowledge. Only through parampara. What is parampara? Krishna first spoke this Vedic knowledge to Brahma, the first created being in the whole creation. And Brahma received that knowledge and disseminated or passed on that knowledge without any change as it is to his sons and disciples. So like that, it's coming down through guru to disciple, generation after generation. So that is the importance of parampara, receiving the perfect knowledge from the proper perfect source, Krishna, coming down through this parampara system. Now the next part of the question, if ISKCON follows the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya line, why isn't Madhvacharya or Sampradaya Acharya? For those who are not understanding what is the meaning of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya line, it is a Sampradaya of ISKCON. Sampradaya means the lineage. Brahma is the first personality to receive this knowledge directly from Krishna at the beginning of the creation. And then Brahma passed on that knowledge to Narada. Narada passed on that knowledge to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva instructed Madhvacharya. And Madhvacharya then instructed his disciples, and his disciples instructed further their disciples, like that, just coming down. So we identify three prominent acharyas in our sampradaya among the many acharyas. We identify three prominent acharyas to identify our sampradaya. Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya. Gauda Desha refers to Bengal. So in Bengal, the acharya in our sampradaya called Madhavendra Puri, he is the branch of the followers of Madhvacharya who actually started this branch of the Gaudiya branch. Just like a guru will have more than one disciple. Just like Madhvacharya. He had many disciples. Now, among his disciples, 8 of them particularly were entrusted with the worship of the Krishna deity in the Udupi temple which Madhvacharya established, the deity of Krishna, the worship of the deity of Krishna. So he entrusted to 8 different disciples. Now their responsibility of worshipping for a certain period in rotation, because the worship has to happen and the preaching also has to happen. So Madhvacharya made the system, while one disciple of his will be worshipping, the other 7 disciples will be traveling and preaching the teachings of Madhvacharya, the teachings of Krishna, as Madhvacharya brought it down. And then after 2 years, one of the disciples has been worshipping. Another disciple takes charge of worshipping the next 2 years, while this disciple goes to preach. So you can understand how the rotation system enables preaching as well as worshipping to go on without any break. So there are 8 mathas, 8 branches after Madhvacharya, 8 branches. Now they further, as they go on preaching and making disciples generation after generation, again there are further sub branches of those branches. Like that, these branches are there because a guru has more than one disciple. Okay, but all the branches are teaching the same teachings which is handed down in the parampara, in the lineage. The teachings, there is no difference in the teachings. Though in some details there will be some variation according to time, place, circumstances. Some variation will be there in the details or in some particular procedures which are not violating any of the basic principles. The basic principles are kept intact, and that is the duty of the acharya. Like Prabhupada is the acharya, he has given us the practice of the fundamental principles of Krishna consciousness without violating any principles, how we can adapt following those principles in our current age. So Prabhupada has given us certain practical guidelines. Now these practical guidelines, for those who are following a very ancient acharya, some of the practices is not possible in this time. In the 21st century, it is not possible. So they are facing so much difficulty. They are either doing it with great difficulty or they are unable to do it because it is becoming impractical. So Prabhupada, the current Acharya in this parampara, he's teaching us how to not violate the principles, at the same time adapt ourselves by making some small changes in the procedure. Just like in the Madhva Sampradaya, the ancient system is, before deity worship, they have to take a bath for cleaning themselves naturally. Then they have to wear freshly washed clothes. Now their system is, they definitely wear freshly washed clothes after taking a bath, before beginning the worship of the deity, but they also wear wet cloth. Now wet cloth is not practical in certain climates, in certain conditions, in the present age, in the present times. So Prabhupada taught us that we don't have to necessarily wear wet cloth. We can wear a dry cloth. Now they don't accept, the Madhva ancient followers of the ancient system, they don't accept this wearing dry cloth. Mind you, the principle is cleanliness. The principle is not whether your cloth is wet or dry. The Shastras say cotton is pure when it comes in contact with water. So, in the spirit of maintaining cleanliness of cotton cloth, they have to wash it in water. So, the proof that it is pure or clean is that it is wet, because it has been washed with water. So, maybe some such tradition is there that unless you wear wet cloth, you are not wearing pure cotton or pure cloth. Maybe some such tradition is there. But we understand that even if we dry the cloth and don't touch it with a dirty hand or don't soil it, we can wear it after taking a bath and being cleansed completely. We can wear it and still do deity worship in a clean way without wearing any dirty cloth or without being contaminated. So like this, some changes which may be practical, only an Acharya can do that. Everybody cannot change according to their own whims and fancies. No, only an Acharya can give a standard, a practically a viable standard, keeping the principles intact. That is the important part. Next question. If we pass by a temple of Devatas, what should we do? Devatas are all devotees of Krishna. So we have to offer respect to Devatas by the simplest way is to fold hands and bow down your head. Better still, you can go and pay proper namaskara, obeisances, by touching your head to the ground. So this is the etiquette, by offering respects by folded hands and bowing down your head. I am a patient of religious OCD and fear of ghosts. What should I do? Fear of ghosts is very easily overcome by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is explained by Prabhupada in the Krishna book, where the pastime of Putana coming to kill Krishna, and Putana was killed by Krishna instead. So that chapter, Prabhupada explains that whenever such ghosts or witches, there are varieties of ghosts and witches and evil spirits. So many names are there, and they come in so many different forms. and they give so much different types of trouble to somebody whom they attack, small children especially, or weak-minded people, or somebody with bad karma. They may get attacked by a ghost. So to avoid that, Prabhupada says, even if somebody negligently chants the holy name of the Supreme Lord by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, no ghosts or spirits, evil spirits, or any type of evil spirit can attack any person who chants. So it is recommended to chant loudly Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Loudly chant. Whenever you feel fear, or whenever you feel there's a possibility that a ghost is attacking you, simply Hare Krishna. That's all. Just 2 words, enough. Hare Krishna. 1 word, Krishna, is enough. If you can't even chant the full mantra, just say Krishna. And this requires practice. This requires practice. To be able to actually chant and call out Krishna or Hare Krishna, you require practice. So when there is no fear of ghosts, when your tongue is idle, keep on saying Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Practice, practice, practice. By practice, very easily Hare Krishna will come out whenever there is danger, when you are attacked or when you have fear, very easily will come out. Next question. What is meant by this observation that if we follow the 4 regulated principles diligently and chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra daily for 12 years, our speech will be perfect? This is a certain instruction by Prabhupada that for somebody who is serious about following the 4 regulated principles and chanting 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra daily, if they do it for 12 years, then they are purified to the extent that whatever they speak will be effective. It will be effective. It will not be under the influence of the illusory energy. It will not be a illusory, a materially contaminated sound vibration. It will not be a materially contaminated sound vibration. That is the meaning of that. Speech will be perfect. More importantly, for chanting mantras, for the mantra to be effective, to have the effect. Just like in the scriptures, there is one Arani mantra. Somebody who can purely chant the Arani mantra, they are able to generate fire without the help of a matchstick. They can generate fire. So like that, by chanting a particular raga, Megha raga, something like that, a raga which when sung will produce rain. So Tansen, he was the musician in the court of King Akbar. So he could chant Deep Rag and actually light up lamps. Or he could sing Megha Rag and he could make rains come down. So that was the purity of the vibration, sound vibration, uttered by a person who's practiced properly. So that is the sense in which this is said. Why do we do understand that it was the plan of the Lord for Yudhishthira to take advice from Bhishma Deva to get him out of lamentation. However, what made Krishna choose Bhishma Deva to preach? Is there any Leela? It is explained by Srila Prabhupada that Krishna wanted to demonstrate that Bhishma Deva is a perfect devotee because towards the end of his life, when he was lying on a bed of arrows, most uncomfortable position, his consciousness was perfectly clear. He was not affected by the discomfort due to lying on the bed of arrows. And when Yudhishthira was asking him questions, he was giving perfect replies in that condition. So his mind was not affected by pain or any kind of anxiety or any kind of distress, nothing of that kind. He was in perfect, pure Krishna consciousness, so unaffected by all material conditions. Krishna wanted to demonstrate, he's my pure devotee, he's perfect. I'll stop here. The remaining questions I will take up in the next week question and answer session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.